Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Karin.
And I'm Emma. And you're listening to the Rom-Com Detectives.
It sounds pretty good when you say it.
Well, I didn't come here to be flattered, but thank you kindly.
Welcome to Rom-Com Detectives, episode 30. She is Beautiful, the next episode in our Mentalist unit. Today, Karin and I will be breaking down the 13th episode of the first season called Painted Red. But today, we're also joined by a rom-com consultant, Emma from the UK, also known as Ble-Petalouda. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Karin, and hi, Crystal.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Fantastic.
This episode originally aired on January 18th, 2009. It was written by Owen Mahoney and directed by David Barrett.
All right, case briefing. This murder takes place in an office in downtown Sacramento. And the title relevance, the episode is centered around a value of painting, and the phrase paint the town red means to have a wild time, and that's how the episode opens, with a couple having some fun in the boss's office.
The victim is Harry Lashley, and his cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. It is not stated directly why the CBI is involved, but the victim's father-in-law is a rich oil tycoon.
The motive was art theft, and the murderer, which I don't know if I had to put this down. Have we not had a murderer
We haven't.
thing? That's kind of relevant information. But yeah, the murderer was Catherine Hawkes, the art dealer. And then guest stars, there were quite a few. There's Elizabeth Dennehy. She played Catherine Hawkes. She's from Guiding Light, which was a show in the 80s, I think.
Well, I haven't heard of that.
She's the daughter of actor Brian Dennehy. And then there was Sebastian Roche. I was familiar with him before watching The Mentalist. He played Arlov. He's from The Man in the High Castle. He's been on 319 episodes of General Hospital. He's been on Criminal Minds. And what I know him from is Fringe. He plays Newton. He's a bad guy. So he's good at playing a bad guy.
He's
Is he ever a good guy?
I don't know. I've never seen him in anything where he's a good guy. I don't remember him in Criminal Minds, so we'll have to ask Neosha.
Yeah, we will.
And then there's Brady Smith. He plays the artist, Wallace, and he's actually had guest appearances on Castle, Bones, and White Collar. So he's made the rounds on the police procedurals. And then last of all, we have Darby Stanchfield. She played Stevie Kate, and she's Meredith from Castle, which is one of Castle's ex-wives. And she's also been on Scandal and Lock and Key. Jane's skills on the episode, he does a couple of code readings.
Yeah.
I think he does one. He does one on Catherine. He does one on AP. I think that's it.
Arlov
and
as well.
the security guy.
Oh yeah.
He was really up to.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Actually, he does one on Stevie too, the widow, and then the switch with the paintings, right?
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, I still haven't figured out how he did it.
No, I like a bit of magic, and I think it's supposed to be a magic picture frame, like a gypsy picture frame, where you can switch out by clicking and clacking. Different frames can slide underneath. This one, I don't think they could find one, so I think it's just sound effects and a quick shuffle, because it doesn't look like they've actually got a mechanical frame to do it. But that's what you use either briefcase that will do it, as you've probably seen in other programs, or there are picture frames, I looked it up, that do that, called a magic gypsy picture frame. And you can make several different pictures or cards slot in and slot out and appear and disappear. But I don't think they had one of those.
Okay, episode breakdown. like I said, it opens with a couple. They're keying into an office and they're going to be naughty in the office. But then the woman screams because she sees a dead man on the floor. And so we go, it cuts to the next morning. The team arrives, and the man who was with the woman explains that she had come back for her phone and called security, and he's like the head of security. So he was working late and he answered, and he's like telling them all, like, oh, yeah, my boss has these strict rules about keeping his office locked or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. When he's not there.
And he tells them that his boss's most valuable painting, which was worth $50 million, was missing, and so that I think that's why he's called them. In addition to the dead body, you can tell that Jane suspects something because the way he's looking at him. And this is the opening, so you know that something like funny is gonna happen. They mentioned that the victim's office is 2 floors down, so he shouldn't actually have been on that floor. And Cho tells them that the victim is the son-in-law of the boss of the company, so that
Yes.
like adds more to what's going on. And so they go into the office. They start talking about how it might have gone down, and Jane thinks that it was an improvised weapon and they hit him on the head with it, and he looks around and he just points out a bust. And the guy Frank, the head of security guy, I guess he was former police,
Yes.
and he's like, oh, that's just guessing, which is something that people bring up with Jane all the time, right? Like, you're just
They
guessing.
do.
But that's kind of his thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I say this all the time on the subreddit when people are like, because I guess people think that Jane just knows these things, like almost like that's part of his psychic shtick. But I mean, the thing is that he does just guess, right? He has to guess, and then he gauges people's reactions to those guesses, and then he moves to the next thing if he's wrong. And so, I mean, when people tell him he's just guessing, they've basically seen through what he does. he's not an actual police psychic
No.
consultant.
But I feel like when Frank pointed out that he's guessing, I feel like that's when Jane's like, well, let
Yeah.
me show you what I can guess.
Yeah. But I think, like, by now, Cho kind of thinks, well, Jane might know something. So he tells the crime scene people to bag it anyway. So even if it might be a guess, he wants to just follow up on it because I think he's starting to have some faith in Jane. He knows that he knows something, or he's just making him do something so that he can fool people. It could be one or the other. A couple things to note. Lisbon is wearing a turtleneck again.
She is. A lovely colour, gorgeous, vibrant,
Yeah,
kind of
she
orangey
looks
red.
great in it.
She does.
Yeah. She was wearing one in Red John's Friends.
Ah,
So I guess she really does like turtlenecks.
now we know. Evidence.
Okay, so I wrote a note that the music in this scene is so weirdly over the top. And I guess I must mean
Is
when
that
Frank and the girl are like doing their
the
thing.
love scene music?
Yeah.
It's called
I don't
Trouble by Bittersweet.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
title. I looked it up. I did my Soundhound thing. Found it on my phone. I was amazed with myself, to be honest.
But so Jane swivels his focus onto Frank, and he asks, "Oh, is there a good diner nearby?" And he asks if they have good eggs. And I think this is our first time we hear about Jane's love for scrambled eggs, which I really like. It's a nice
It's
little
great.
quirk about him.
It is. It's fun.
Okay, and so here's my thing to aggravate Karin, because I think I've talked about this before, but I put ketchup on my scrambled eggs.
Oh no.
So do I. Guilty as charged.
See? See? See,
Oh no.
it tastes good, right, Emma?
It does taste so good.
Karin is a
Sorry.
ketchup hater.
No. There are places, there are times and places to have ketchup. Eggs are not it.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
I think so. But so while he's talking about eggs, Jane suddenly throws out a comment about Frank having a contentious relationship with his father, is one of Jane's tactics. He does these things to throw people off so that he can gauge other parts about what they're talking about. He basically just wants to see their reactions and things like that as part of his reading of them. But he starts talking about how Miss Dwayne is really attractive and that he can't tell because she's crying, but that receptionists are often hired for their looks. And Lisbon asks, well, what are you talking about? And so he takes him to the body and points out that the victim's seams under his arms are torn. So and his shoe is off. So he feels like that means that he got pulled over there, which is kind of obvious because I think his arms were positioned above his
Yeah.
head, right?
They are.
Yeah.
So
Yes, they are.
yeah. And then that's when Jane lays out what he thinks happened, which was that Frank and Ms. Dwayne came up to the office to have sex, but that's when they discovered the body. But because he's the security guy, he probably turned the cameras off. And so he has to be able to explain all those things. And so that's why the scene looks the way it does. And for a guy who used to be a cop, he's not very good at this.
No,
He's not.
why?
No.
Rule 1, don't move the body.
So after he exposes this guy, Frank, he's like, I'm starving. I'm going to go have some eggs. And then he just leaves. And so then we go to the CBI, and Grace is showing Lisbon a picture of the painting that got stolen, which was called The Moral. And she explains that he bought it for $50 million 3 months ago. Rigsby gives us some background on AP Cade, and he tells us that he made his money in oil by pulling it out of places no one else has the balls to go. But the guy Cade is on his sailboat, so Rigsby pitches the idea that maybe he stole his own painting for the insurance money, or maybe he just doesn't like Harry because he's his son-in-law. Cho reports that everyone in a suit knew about what Frank did in the office. So I don't know. Does that mean he did that with multiple people or just with this one receptionist all the time? Do you think?
I think he maybe had multiple partners.
Multiple.
I
Oh
think so, the
boy.
cad.
So this been asked where Jane is, but they don't know because she wants to go talk to Lashley's wife. And so in the next scene, she's at the office to go talk to the widow. And Jane is there, so she's found him. And I think probably what he was doing was eating eggs. she,
Almost
she
certainly.
probably she probably went to the diner and found him. So
There you go. Well, it was funny. In the script, Van Pelt says he's probably taking a nap. But I'm like,
Ah,
if he wasn't
he's
on his
right
couch,
there.
if he
Yeah,
wasn't on his couch, where would he be taking a nap? Which is probably why they changed it to
yeah.
more ambiguous.
So Lisbon is talking to Mrs. Lashley, or I don't know. I don't think she's called Mrs. Lashley. I think she's still called Stevie Cade because that's what she's called in the credits.
Yeah.
But she mentions that her husband had canceled dinner on her yesterday, and but that was common because of his work with her father. And Lisbon asks what Harry did before, and Jane knows this. He says that he was
Hmm.
a musician, a jazz guitarist, which really shocks her. And he says it's because he saw that he had guitarist fingers. But then how does he know he played jazz with a flamenco edge? And what is a flamenco edge?
It
I'm
was the
not
ridge on
sure.
his thumb.
Maybe.
So I play string instruments. You develop calluses, from repetitive play. But yeah, I don't know particularly how you would know
I
jazz.
No,
I know
I
it
play
just
the
That's
guitar, so yeah, you do get
okay.
calluses, but the thumb bit.
show us your guitarist fingers.
Yeah, they
I'm just kidding.
no. I don't think you could tell from looking at my
No, they're not
fingers.
quite. I haven't played for a bit. I just play a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like they buffed this part up about Jane's observation skills
Absolutely. I
because
mean,
it's
Too
just too funny.
funny.
that's the thing too, is that I mean, it would have to be his career to develop
Yes.
visible calluses on his fingers. And if he's now switched out of that line of work, I don't know if how well he would maintain the ridges on his
Yeah.
Hmm.
thumb.
I
So
feel like maybe Jane just read a file or Googled the guy, and then he was like, I'm going to show off and be like, I notice he has guitar fingers.
You could be right there. I wouldn't put
Right?
it past him.
Because he wants to put on a front that he's like the psychic. How did you know that?
yeah,
Right?
I
So,
and I think, like, in the script, it mentions some set dressing, like, some
Yes,
jazz musician
there
pictures or
are.
posters in
Yes.
her
Yeah,
office, so that would be another clue.
that's so funny. I did not notice that. Very good eye.
you have.
But then he does a cold reading on her, guessing how they met, and that he was playing at an event that she attended, and they struck up a conversation, and that this wasn't easy for her to do because she works so much, and so this really like throws her off because I guess he nailed it. So he does a good reading here. She mentions that Frank, the security guy, has been fired. Good for him.
Quite
Yes.
right.
What an ass. She suggested maybe if Harry found out what he was doing and was trying to catch him in the act, and maybe that's why he was killed. But that's when there's been suggests that, oh, maybe he was actually there to steal the painting, which I thought was kind of brutal because she just lost her
Yeah.
husband. But at the same
Yes.
time, she has to do her job, right? So. But she did not approve of the purchase, saying that $50 million is too much money to spend on a single object, which I fully agree with.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Must
Fair.
be nice to be able to spend that
Whew.
much on one thing. She says that her father is irrational when it comes to art, and that's when she mentions Catherine Hawkes, her father's art buyer. And so Lisbon goes to talk to her, and while she's like saying all the right things about how, oh, Harry's death is such a tragedy, Lisbon kind of guesses correctly that she actually is cares more about the painting. Well, even though she says no, but that she's the one who mentions Arlov, a Russian oil baron that Cade beat in the bid for the Morrow. So they're kind of like competitors, I guess, in this because they both wanted the same painting. So later at the CBI, Rigsby gives him the rundown on Arlov. He says he's a super rich gangster and that he likes his enemies delivered to him hog tied and naked so he can kill them.
Harsh.
Yeah.
Whew.
So Lisbon tells him to go talk to organized crime, which I guess is another unit in the building. We don't really hear too much about other units, right?
No.
No, not very often. Makes
Yeah.
sense that they're there, though. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's a good mention. What
Yes.
else is the CBI doing?
It was kind of funny because I watched Law and Order Organized Crime and I really like that show. So I was just trying to like pretend that like there's some crossover, even
There
though
you
they're in
go.
New York. Grace reports that Harry Lashley once stole cash from a video store he worked at 10 years ago in Canada and he served 6 months for it. And I mean, they bring up this prison term of his like throughout the episode,
Mhm.
but I mean, I had to wonder like how much money did he steal from this video store? And
Yeah, that's a pretty big escalation to go from
I know.
raiding a cash register to a $50 million painting.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like when they were like talking about, oh, did you know he has a past? I was just like, I mean,
Yes, but no.
Mm.
but he served time, so I guess that's why it's a big deal. And it's in Canada too, so it must have been very serious.
Very.
So somebody mentions that Harry paid 20 grand to a company called RW Arts. And Grace says it's likely a shell company and that all they know is that it's got a mailbox in a small farming town called Locksdale. And so Jane butts in and suggests that he and Van Pelt go to check it out. And this I thought was kind of cute because Lisbon's like, huh? She's kind of she
Why
has
not
this
me?
yeah, she has this look on her face like, why Van Pelt, not me?
Uh-huh.
She does.
And Jane says that Van Pelt is from a small farming town which will provide cover. And she's like, cover? What do you need cover for?
You have badges. You don't need
Yeah.
cover.
But she kind of gives up here and she's like, fine, whatever. She tells them to follow procedure and have fun. But I don't think she means for them to have fun.
No, she doesn't.
she's she's upset.
As Jane says, where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Jane drives them up north in his car. So they quickly find a gallery that is likely RW Arts. I think it's like Ron Wallace something.
Rob Wallace Arts?
Rob Wallace?
Yes, I think it
Yeah.
is.
But Jane suggests that they hide the fact that they're police. And so Grace is like, don't embarrass me. It's like, what do you mean? And so, of course, you know. Typical Jane, as soon as they go in, he's got to start embarrassing her, like fully. There's a family in there, and they're getting a portrait painted of their little girl. Jane goes and talks to the mother, and he's like, oh, I bet you think my fiance is a lot younger than me. And then he says, I was her college professor, and I seduced her. She's just,
Outrageous.
poor Grace. She looks so irritated.
She does.
She's like, see, that's what I mean.
Can you imagine though, if this had been Lisbon, what story would he have spun?
I know, yeah.
And would he still do it? Something like this?
It was funny though when he called her babe.
I know.
I think that was a tip. That was what really got to her. She's just so irritated with him. But so he admires the guy's painting and he says, oh, do you think you could paint my fiance? And that gets her even more upset because now she's like, oh. So next they show the family leaving with the portrait and Grace sits for the artist and she looks super peeved.
She does. Very
Like,
uncomfortable.
it's on her face. She's just like, oh. But while he's painting, Jane asks to use the bathroom. And then he tells him, don't paint her eyes too close together. But okay, so then there's this whole scene about Jane snooping around in the back, and Grace is like out front trying to talk to the guy because I think they're trying to imply that Jane is making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
She's trying to cover
Yeah.
as she can.
Yeah. Because all the creaking from his steps and the doors opening and everything. So
He's like knocking on walls to see if it's a false back. And yeah.
He's not making it easy for her. Because every time he makes a noise, they cut back to her and she's like, she looks worried, right? So I think they mean that she can hear it. And that's probably what tips off the guy. So after a while, the artist says, are you sure about marrying him? Which seems kind of forward.
Yep.
It was.
He's like, he seems like kind of a jerk. And she's like, no, trust me, I'm not married. Which I think probably would have tipped the guy off too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you would think that if you say something like that to a woman, she's going to be like, how rude of you. Mind
Right.
your own business, right?
Yeah.
But instead she's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm not marrying him. But meanwhile, she's still sitting for this painting and there's all this creaking going on in the back. Yeah, so he tells her to look that way. And then he takes a shotgun out and points it at her. And I was like, why does the dude have his shotgun stored in that cabinet?
Right. Like in the main room. It's not like it's in the back. He has it
No.
right there ready to go.
And they don't like say whether it's loaded or not. Maybe it's not loaded or whatever. He just uses it to scare off people who come in to
Looters.
Maybe.
Gangsters. I don't know.
In this
Like,
small town where they're
well,
having a farmer's market and small town festival.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I was just like, why does this guy have a shotgun in his art cabinet with his brushes?
Where would you keep it?
I guess that's fair. You gotta keep it somewhere.
And the umbrella stand, right?
So they cut to the back where Jane is, and the guy, his name is Wallace. He comes in, he's holding Grace at gunpoint, and that's when Grace finally shows her badge, and she tells him that they're investigating Harry Lashley's murder. And the guy's like, "What? He's dead?" And that's like a kind of typical thing in police procedurals where their suspect goes, "What do you mean he's dead?" Or
Right.
or I didn't know the victim was dead. What? Yeah, so I like that in this one. And Grace says that they wanted to know from him some information because he has the painting, because that's what Jane found in one of the back rooms. I think what he found the secret room, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Found the secret room.
how did he open it? He like pulled something, right?
A
I
coat
think
hook.
there's like a handkerchief hanging on a small hook.
On a
Yeah.
hook, yeah. But so Jane, when Grace says that, Jane says, "Oh no, it's a copy," and that he's an art forger. But then the guy just, she's like, "Can you put the gun down?" He just hands it over to her. So I guess he was just trying to scare them. He didn't realize that they were cops. And um, he explains that the victim, Harry, had come to him 2 months ago and asked for 2 copies of the moral. And so this is something that we're going to have to track, because like the different copies is like something that's important to keep track of in this
It is
episode, because of
so
the question
confusing.
at the end. I know it is.
Okay.
So he explains that it only makes sense for rich people to want to have a copy to display, because I mean, people are going to want to steal it. So he got 2 copies and he made one for himself. So
Yes.
there are a total of 4 copies of the painting, right? There's
Three
the
Right.
original,
fakes, then one. Yeah.
there's 2 that were commissioned, and one that he made for himself that Jane takes,
Correct.
right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay.
4.
Okay.
But he paid 10 grand for each one that Harry commissioned, and he doesn't know why he asked for 2 copies, because I mean, yeah, that's a weird thing, right? Why would you need
Why
2?
would you ask?
Hmm.
Yeah. Grace says it looks exactly the same, but Jane tells her to look closer, and eventually she finds a TV antenna painted onto like the roof of some structure or something in the painting. Like I said, Jane takes the painting. He asked to borrow it, but when the guy's like, I don't know, because he made his own copy because he just liked the painting, I guess. So,
Yes.
but yeah, so Jane's like, if you don't loan it to me, she's gonna take you to the CBI and talk to you for hours.
Really boring questions for hours.
Grace smiles a little bit at this. I think she enjoys that bit.
and and who knows how far away the CBI is, right? So this guy is gonna be gone for a while,
Yep.
because they said it's up north, right? So
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's
So it could be an
presumably,
hour or two drive.
yeah, or even more. So back at the office, Lisbon talks about how getting 2 copies is clever, because then he could sell the painting 3 times.
Dun, dun,
But
dun.
what does she mean by 3 times? Like the fake, the real one that he steals, or
Yeah,
so
two
the
two
real one that
fakes.
he steals and the 2 fakes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So Cho reports then that Cade is back from his trip and he's at his office. So Jane and Lisbon head over there. They meet AP Cade, and he's kind of like a alpha kind of personality, right? He's
Yes.
kind of loud and
Brash.
boisterous, and yeah. He tells him that he did know about the copies. He had told Harry to get the copy made, but he says copy. He doesn't say copies. So I think
Hmm.
that's key here.
Mm.
AP tells him that the real painting is in his private vault, and the lady Catherine is there, and she's kind of upset because she's like, why would you get this done and not tell me? I'm your art expert." But he insists that the fewer people that knew, the better. And then he laughs at the idea that someone is out there selling a fake painting. But at this point, Stevie's like, my husband's dead. And I think all this time, Jane is just quietly like observing. He wants to get a read on this guy EP, but he asks to see the painting and he examines it, and he quickly figures out that that one's a fake as well. So, and he points out that there's a machine gun being held by one of the soldiers, because the guy Wallace had said that he's a, what did he call himself? He said he's not an art forger. He's a,
I think he's
what
a
was it?
copyist or something.
I don't know. He says he's something. He calls himself something else. He says
He's
he's not a
he says,
forger.
"I'm not a forger, I'm an artist. I'm not
Uh,
trying to trick anyone. I
Right.
always add details that ensure nobody can sell my work as the genuine article."
okay. So once he points out the machine gun, AP's pissed, and he turns to Catherine. And he can't. He's furious that she
He
didn't
is.
know, and he calls Jane a bozo, which I thought was amusing. She insists that the painting that she bought was real and that they have the paperwork to back it up. And if he got copies made without, she says copies, I think, right?
I think she
Did she say
does.
copy or copies? Which I think could be what tips Jane off. Oh no, she didn't say copies. Never mind. Okay, so we can still hone in on the fact that he said copy. So that's something that I think Jane would notice.
Yeah.
But he only ordered one copy, but he had two. Harry had two made. But at this point, AP blames Harry for the theft, and he starts going. He kind of shows his true, because he had told his daughter, "Oh, I loved him too," but blah blah blah. But here, he's just like full on blaming him for it and saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe I trusted him," kind of thing.
Hmm.
So this is when Lisbon chooses to pull out that prison term, that short prison term that he did in Canada. Oh, her timing in
I was
this
just thinking
episode.
that timing is
She's
everything.
kind of harsh. But the widow, she's still just like distraught, right? Because that was her husband. She loved him, and
Hmm.
they begs Lisbon to find the murderer so that she can find out the truth, because she's so upset about the things that her father is saying. AP dismisses them. I think he says, "You can go," or something,
Yeah.
and Lisbon gets upset.
Yep.
So they turn to leave. This scene was really amusing. They turn to leave, and I feel like Jane gets defensive of Lisbon when he can tell that she's actually like irritated with somebody. She chooses to walk away after getting in a little bit of a last word, but Jane is like,
I hate to be blunt, Mr. Cade.
but then Lisbon literally like puts an arm
Yeah,
around him to pull him back.
pulls him
She's
out
like,
the room. Physically
no,
pulls.
you don't.
Yeah, no,
We're
no,
Wow,
not doing
no.
this.
unbelievable.
So they're back at the office, and the team talks out the case. Cho wonders why Harry had copies made but didn't hang them on the wall to hide the robbery. And Rigsby explains that because he was in on it, he would have wanted everyone to know that it was stolen so that he could sell it as like the real painting. Because if like word gets out that this $50 million painting got stolen, then he can be like, "Oh, would you like to buy my $50 million painting?" But at the same time, I feel like anyone who's going to buy a $50 million painting would have an art expert look at it. And if Grace Van
Yes,
Pelt can spot something on it, can't an art expert find it too? Anyway, Jane says that when they made the switch, he went to steal the real painting off the wall, knowing that the cameras were off. And that's what confused me, because I thought AP did not want the real one on the wall. So did like Harry not tell him, "Here's the painting, you can swap them out now"? Because he thought that he had the real one in his vault,
he did. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yes. Right.
Right.
So why would Jane say he goes to make the switch, goes to steal the real painting off the wall, but both Harry and AP would know that it's a copy on the wall, right?
Right. I think they're trying to say that it would be easier to take it off the wall than take it out of the vault. So at some point, is it Harry? At
Switched
some
it.
point he would have switched it so that he could
With the
just
one in the vault.
with the one in the vault so that he could just go in and take it off the wall to make it easy.
Okay.
So unless you looked at it real close, he wouldn't notice.
Yeah, so that would be the inside job piece would be
Okay.
setting it up so that the real painting's easier to snatch.
Okay. That makes sense. So Lisbon hears back from organized crime, and they inform her that Orlov is in LA. He arrived a couple of days ago, but he's traveling under a diplomatic passport, which I have to ask, how does this guy get a diplomatic passport,
Oh
and how
goodness.
does he get diplomatic immunity? It's just, uh, but that means no touching. And Jane hones in on that. He's like, "Oh, fine, no touching."
Oh, he even says that to Arlov later.
He,
Yeah,
Okay,
he does.
I know, no
I'm
touching.
not touching you.
It's so like him to take it literally. So Rigsby asks, "Oh, why can't we just ask him a couple of things?" And she's like, "Absolutely not." But then they show Arlov at a house party in LA, and he's looking at the painting, the mural on his
Hmm.
wall. So we know that he's got a painting. We just don't know which painting he has, because, like we said, there's four copies out, or there's 4 instances of this painting that we know of. Jane follows Lisbon to the break room and he's asking her, are you really going to let him get away with it if he's the killer? And she says that, we can close the case without causing an international scandal. But Jane insists that this guy Arlov is the key. And meanwhile, Rigsby's raiding the fridge of these little yogurts. Do you remember what those are called? Those are like kids' yogurts, right?
They
It's like
look
a
like
Yeah.
kids' yogurts.
I mean, it could be it. Like a
Something
little
similar.
3-ounce drinkable
Yeah,
yogurt.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I feel like that was
Hmm.
like a thing when my kids were little. It was like some Garanimals thing or something.
Yeah, I think of Danimals or something like
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, something like that.
Or probiotic
Um,
type thing.
I think he drinks too while like Jane and Lisbon are talking, and so she's getting irritated with Jane, and she just turns and barks at Risby and tells him, "Can you leave some of those yogurts for everyone else?" And he's just like, "But they're so small."
So funny.
But Jane has like an ulterior motive, so he wants to get on Rigsby's good side without him really knowing it. So he goes to the fridge and he takes the yogurt out, he opens it, and he gives him one. It's like, oh, you want another yogurt? Here you go.
You can have mine.
And he's like talking to him. I don't understand why we can't go off after a known criminal. We're law enforcement people. And Rigsby agrees and he tells him, we can be in LA by dark. Tell Cho to meet us in the parking lot in 10 minutes.
And then Rigsby's just like, "Oh,
Huh?
shoot." But it's like, he could still say no.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
he
You
not?
could.
He just heard that his boss definitely doesn't want him to do it.
But
So
see,
why?
Jane gave him a yogurt.
He did.
It's, he's got to do what he says now.
He has.
Right.
He
Okay.
paid him in yogurt bucks.
So so why does Cho go along with it?
I don't know. Maybe he likes yogurt too, and Jane took the rest of them from the fridge. You can buy these guys with yogurt bribes.
Awesome.
Next, we go to an SUV, and Jane, Rigsby, and Cho are, I think, presumably in LA because it's dark now.
Yep.
And Jane makes this part was funny. Jane makes a call, but then Cho's phone rings, and it's Jane from the backseat. So Jane heads in with a covered painting under his arm, and at the door, he's like pretending to speak. I think he's
Yeah,
not actually speaking, but he can hear the loud music. So I think he's just farting around with the guy at the
he
door.
is.
He's just like mouthing so that the guy like just to mess with him. But so he gets in, and Rigsby and Cho. It's not clear right away why Rigsby and Cho are waiting in a stairwell instead of in the car. It becomes evident later.
Mhm.
But basically, I guess Jane has left his phone on in his pocket
Mhm.
so
He
that
has.
it's like a not like official surveillance. They're just doing like going with what they have. But Cho is listening on his phone, and I think it was like kind of an old phone, right? Didn't it have like an antenna and everything?
Yeah, it's like a flip phone.
One of those old Motorola ones. But so Jane heads in to talk to Arlov. He sets the painting down and they talk about the TV show he's watching. He asks for room temperature sparkling water in a tall glass.
Thinks he's James
And he
Bond.
gets it.
Yeah, he does get it. He gets it in
He
a tall
does.
glass.
Amazing.
So at the office, Lisbon is looking around. She's like, where is everybody? Grace is like, oh, it's weird. They all called out. Jane wasn't feeling well. Rigsby had a hot date, and Cho got King's tickets. And Lisbon immediately knows what's going on. She's pissed. She's saying Jane doesn't get sick. Rigsby doesn't have a hot date because he's in love with you. Oh, that was so funny, like watching Grace's reaction. And she says the Kings aren't playing because they're on a road trip. And Grace asks, how do you know about that? And she's like, everybody knows that. Even the Attorney General knows. I love that line. Oh my God. Poor Grace, though.
Embarrassed again.
I know. So we go back to the party, and Arlov is asking about the painting, saying he doesn't believe that he actually has the moral. And so Jane offers to show him the painting that he brought. And he unveils like this real amateur, like kitty type Sharpie drawing. And I just a quick aside, I actually made a Christmas ornament out of this painting. I took a screenshot of Jane's like copy of the painting and I put it in a little doll picture frame and I made that
Wow.
into an ornament.
Fantastic.
And so one of my friends, Liz, she's a Mentalist fan too, and so I sent it to her for Christmas, and she was like, "What is this?"
Oh no.
I was like, "Oh come on, it's from Painted Red." She's like, "Oh right, oh my god, how did I not know that?" But yeah, when he unveils it to Arlov, which was so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, everyone's crowding in to see it too. It's such a
Yeah,
beautiful moment.
I know. It
All
was
the henchmen are like,
Oh,
"What's he got?
yeah. And then after that, they're all like, "What is this
What?"
guy doing?"
I know, but it looks like they're ready to like shoot him. Like, how dare he bring in this amateur drawing?
And I think Jane understands that. Oh, he's kind of in hot water
Yeah.
because
Whoops.
that's when he like busts out his ID. He's like, "Oh, I'm police," and he
You
literally
can't.
tells him, he literally tells him, "I'm showing you my ID so that you don't kill or torture me."
Yep. Don't miss me. I'm
Oh.
important.
But yeah, so Jane tells him, "Oh, you should tell me what happened because the victim had a wife and she deserved justice." And but yeah, he finds that laughable, and he says that no one's gonna want to sell their paintings to him if they start sending all of them to jail. So, but he also tells him, "You are a strange kind of policeman." So I guess that's how Jane skirts out of it. He's amused Orlov
yes.
because I think they've established that this guy is he sounds like he's bored, right?
Yeah.
He
Yes.
just
Yep.
wants to be entertained. So Jane has entertained him here with his little antics. So I think
Exactly.
that's how Jane skirts out of the killing and torturing.
Luckily.
He's not going to be hog-tied naked.
Ooh.
Dodge the bullet.
Oh,
That would have been an interesting scene, though.
yes,
Yeah.
it
Getting
would.
him out of that. Lisbon
Lisbon
busts down
finds
the
him
door
like
and
that.
rescues him. Yeah.
Oh my god. So, oh, actually we forgot to mention. So, this is where our episode title came from. She is beautiful. That was their code word for Chuan Rigsby is he has to say she is beautiful. And that's when they know that he's ready for them to take action. So, that's why they were waiting in the stairwell. Jane says she is beautiful because oh wait, no, I skipped ahead. So Jane asks to see the painting, and while he actually gets him to let him hold it, which I thought
Mhm.
was funny because I thought that like usually they would just take him to where it is, but maybe like it was in a room that they didn't want him to go in or something. So one of the henchmen went and got the painting off the wall and brought it to Jane. And so Jane actually, I think he asked to hold it, right? He's
Yes.
pretending to like
Yes.
He says, "May
appreciate the
I?" And
painting.
then he'll.
But that's when he says she is beautiful, and Rigsby pulls a fire alarm. That's what they were waiting in the stairwell for. They were They were sitting next to it, and while they're distracted by the fire alarm, which I don't know, it looked like they were in a house, right?
I think
So
it was
where
like
is
a
this
hotel
stairwell?
villa. It's part of a hotel, but it's a villa suite.
Oh,
So because
okay,
he's
okay,
it's real swanky, very swanky,
yeah,
beautiful. But the
yeah.
architecture is brutalist, so it's modern architecture, but with a few older furnishings in it. It's quite interesting.
But yeah, so while they're distracted, Jane puts the real painting down in front of his. He clacks it back and forth, and then he picks it up again. And then Arlov turns back to him and he hands it back to him. But at this point, he's made the switch. And so Jane makes they tell him to get out, and then he covers his masterpiece. He covers it up and he exits the building. And Rigsby and Cho are waiting in the car. They're like, well, and he gives them a really happy thumbs up.
He does.
He looks
He's giddy with
really overjoyed.
excitement.
I know. the thrill of stealing a $50 million painting from a Russian gangster. And Rigsby's like, well, we should call Lisbon and update her. He's like, Jane's like, you call her. Rigsby's like, I'm driving. Cho?
And Jane says, I just robbed a Russian mobster. You guys can't call Lisbon? Okay, phew. That's my favourite line.
Yeah, that was really good. It cuts to the next day. They're at Kate's office, and Jane is asking Lisbon, are you going to be grumpy in there? And she says, yes. She told him not to get involved with Arlov. And he's like, well, that's not very professional. I said I was sorry, which is so childlike of him. It's like, I said I was sorry, Mom. Why are you still mad? He insists that, he didn't tell her because now she has total deniability and his plan went off perfectly. And she says, well, we still haven't solved the case. In the office, I think it's Stevie, AP, and Catherine who are in the office. He presents the painting tomorrow to AP, and he can't believe that he got his painting back. They ask if Arlov had it, and Jean says, yeah, I stole it from him. And the reason he can't kick up a fuss is because he'd have to say to the State Department, oh, I had a stolen painting. So basically, they're trying to say that, it's neutralized. But I think maybe the other thing is that maybe Arlov doesn't realize what Jean did too. So maybe he just has one of the copies and he doesn't realize that he has a fake. But AP, because like we said earlier, AP had competed with Arlov to get the painting originally. So he's really happy. And he's saying that, oh, it's going to kill him when he learns that I have it again. Actually, yeah, so that does mean that he would know that Jane made a switch and stole it from him. I don't know that he would forgive him just because he can't do anything about it. He can't say anything because I feel like he might still send some people to go find Jane. But while AP is doing a victory lap, Stevie says, who cares? And she turns to Lisbon and she reminds her that she promised to catch his killer. And AP turns to her and he starts saying, it was a good thing he was part of the theft and you could have been having kids with this guy. And he's like, we'll find you a good man. And yeah, he's an icky dad. He says the main thing is that this sends a message that nobody messes with AP Cade. But here, Jane looks pretty upset. I say upset, but it's not like he's mad. He just looks displeased, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
And when he finally speaks, he talks about Charlotte. He says, I had a daughter once. She was killed, and it was my fault. And actually, a little bit of the Red John music plays here. But he says, that's how he knows that a man who treats his daughter like that is a fool. And Lisbon's like, can you not?
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps going. He says, your child is hurting, and you're over here with this petty victory, and you're just crowing over that. And he says that Cade cares more about the painting than he does his own child. And at this point, AB is like, because you got my painting back, I'm going to be patient. And he tells Lisbon to get this clown out of my office. So he's called him a bozo and a clown at this point.
Uh-huh.
But Jane gets angrier and he tells him, how can I make you understand? Then he takes the painting off the wall and he throws it in the fireplace, which I was just like, what kind of person has a fireplace in their office in California?
Right.
I was like, that's very convenient.
It was.
But they were very careful to demonstrate the fireplace in the opening scene.
You're right, Karin.
Yes,
Oh,
when
that's
the couple
right.
goes
That's
into the
right.
office, the fireplace roars to life.
Ah.
And Lisbon's wearing a turtleneck, so it must be a cool
It's cold.
season.
Ah.
Okay. But Lisbon asks, have you gone crazy? And he points, but that's when Jane points out that Catherine, the master of fine art, is not reacting at all to him throwing the painting in the fireplace. So that's suspicious. And he says that she would only be acting like that if she knew that was a fake. And he thinks that she knows it's a fake because she has the actual painting, the real one.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
that's when he does like the cold reading on her, and he like lays out what he thinks that, you know, she's probably really unhappy in her job because she's an art lover, and she works for this guy who just wants to collect things, and she probably doesn't get paid very much. And so that's where he says that Harry probably came to her to ask about it, and she asked for a second copy. So that's, I think, Jane realizes that this second copy is probably the key to figuring it out. And then he thinks that she probably blackmailed him with his Canadian sentence, and that she wanted to keep the painting for herself and then sell Arlov the fake, which, wow, she really likes double tipping. Yeah. But he says that she switched the paintings just before it went into the vault, and then all she had to do was take the painting from AP's office after hours. But that Harry was there and tried to stop her, and then she killed him. She admits to it there, but she claims that she never meant to kill him. So they show in the flashback that she just struggles with him a little bit. She just grabs it in. So it's like a what is it? Is it crime
Self
of
self defense.
yeah, or I don't know, crime of passion. I don't. I think when people say crime of passion, it doesn't always have to be like romantic. Like I
Right.
think it's just like anger
The
or like heat of
Yeah.
the moment kind of thing. Yeah,
Yep.
Maybe manslaughter rather than
manslaughter.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So once Lisbon arrests her and takes her away, Jane apologizes to AP and Stevie because he says that he kind of just needed to use their family dysfunction so that he could draw her out. Because so that means that Jane already knew that it was her, and he was just doing that. He was just acting basically to get her to confess. But this actually surprised me. He says no apology needed because you had some good hard truth in that. And I don't know. I guess because who he was and who they painted him as, I just didn't expect him to be like, no,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a double surprise because Jane apologized for something of his own
yeah,
free will,
He
yeah.
and
did.
then the really pompous jerk took it, very well.
But at the
Hmm,
same
And
time,
did.
I feel like maybe the apology was more to her than to the
y
father
yeah, that
because
could be.
he obviously hurt her. So,
Yeah.
okay, so discussion point for this was Lisbon in on it because when they're talking before they go in, they're talking like we're about to go in there kind of thing. So I don't know if he's like referring to we're gonna do this little thing. He must have told her who he suspected, right? Because I mean, some of the
Maybe.
things that Lisbon says she kind of looks like she already knows and she's just acting too. You know, like
Yeah.
Lisbon's bad acting that Jane always teases her about.
He does.
Because she does make some kind of over the top faces. She's just like, oh. You know?
Yeah, I could see it.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Was she in on it? Was she acting with him, or
I think
did he catch her by surprise too with this whole thing?
I think she would have to at least partially be in on it to let him go as far as he did because he doesn't usually get angry like that,
No,
and
Yeah.
I
I think
agree.
she would think to restrain him somehow.
Yeah, she would have freaked out even harder if she thought that
Yeah,
he was burning a $50 million painting. So,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
because oh my god, the way that she reacts when he does things that's gonna get her in trouble, like all she says is, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
That's on the Lisbon scale. That's not very high.
No, you're right. Yeah, she was in on it.
Okay, okay. So next we go back to the office. Jane hangs up a copy of The Moral behind his desk. Cho and Rigsby remark that it's amazing that it's fake and that it's a difference of $50 billion and a few thousand. Cho says it looks identical, which is exactly what Grace said earlier. And Jane kind of looks at it funny. He's like, I'm not sure. But then he shakes it off and he goes and he flops onto his couch to take a nap. And that's when Cho and Rigsby like they move in and they're like, is it the real one?
They look back at him like, "Is
and
it
he's
the
just
real one?"
and he's
It's
just grinning at them.
it's so funny how everyone just tilts their head to look at it like, "This is how we'll know."
Yeah.
Also, a quick note: Cho is holding what looks like a turquoise Fiesta Ware mug. It's like the same color as Jane's cup,
Oh,
but it's a mug instead.
Oh, yeah.
I actually didn't look up if the Fiesta Ware, the whole Fiesta Ware like line, but like I saw another one of the turquoise set. It's like
oh,
a tapered mug. I saw it on Ballard recently, so
nice.
it's still out there.
Interesting, yeah.
Yay.
It's a nice
I
color.
I once
Beautiful.
saw a complete full set of turquoise Fiesta ware on our Facebook marketplace.
Wow.
There were, like,
Oh.
an insane amount of pieces. I wanna say it was, like, $300 for the whole set.
Wow.
It
Whew.
was,
Oh,
like,
wow.
plates and
Wow.
mugs and teacups and
Salad
bowls and
bowl.
all of
Oh,
it. And I was like, "If I
cool.
had just bought
Wait,
that,
so
I
how
could
many
make."
pieces was it?
I can't remember. It was a lot, though. I think there were,
Oh,
like, 6 of the teacups. I was like, "I could buy that and just make my money back just
yeah,
reselling the
yeah.
teacup."
Wow, that's cool. Okay, so that's it for the episode breakdown. Let's go into our cold reading. Okay, so do we know at what point Jane cracks the case? I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
think it has to do with with learning that that there are two copies, but I don't know when he figures out that it was Catherine.
He says it's
yeah,
when he visits Arlov. He wants his work to Arlov's one to fake. He said that's when he knows. He actually says it sometime in the episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So he finds out, oh yeah, that the one that he stole from Arlov was fake too.
Yeah. So he
Okay.
swapped a fake with a fake, essentially.
yeah.
That must have made his little caper a little less exciting. He must have been like, "What? I did all that for a eruption
Yeah.
Right?
monster,
And
and it
I
was a
wondered
fake."
too, because he was holding the painting, if he had enough time to study it and see if it was a fake right there, he wouldn't
Yeah,
even need to. I mean, it would be a lot less
Maybe
dramatic,
once
but
he
he
got
wouldn't
it
have had to
back.
swap them out. He could have just
No.
said, "Okay, thanks," and handed it back and just walked out calmly.
uh, I wish
He
we
just
knew what
knew.
the detail on the other fake was, because we know one is
Right.
an antenna, one is a machine gun. I have
Yeah.
to wonder what the one on the
We don't
third
know
one
the other one.
was. Bummer. Okay, and so the only other thing I had written down was that when they go to Locksdale, the small farming town, it looks like it's just on the Warner Brothers lot. It looks like the same generic, like
Oh.
small
Yeah.
town shooting location that they use all the time. So, okay, hot reading.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot for as far as extra content in this one or deleted scenes. There's just a small extended moment at the end between AP Cade and his daughter after the apology session. He suggests AP Cade suggests to start a foundation in Harry's memory, like to teach art appreciation to kids or something. And Stevie says, "Jazz. We can teach jazz to kids." And AP says, "Whatever you say, jazz to kids then, or jazz and art." Just another little
Nice.
sweet moment to show that he is really making
Trying.
a
Yeah.
try. Yeah. And then the comment about the Citron um, prompted me to go dig up more information about the car. So it looked like in the first season here, they have a 1971 Citroen DS, according to the executive producer Chris Long. He said Simon wanted a car that reflected his quirky character. He's a longtime fan of Peter Falk, who drove a beat up 1959 Peugeot in his detective series Columbo. So we went looking for a Columbo car, and it sounded like this car that they got stalled all the time, and the taillights
Oh
went out and had to be painted on.
my god. That's
So
so
it looks like so it looks like for season 2 they got a different car that was another model year the next year.
Oh.
okay, okay, so I gotta
Cool.
stop you here because you wrote down Internet Movie Cars Database. There's an Internet
Yes.
Movie Cars Database?
Yes. That's
Wow.
what they it's so funny, just a place where you can go and geek out about the cars you find on
Oh,
television. Yeah,
that is
so
so
the
funny. I
Cool.
had no
I
idea.
am I am CBD.
Oh, that's
They had
so
a
cool.
whole discussion on there about the car, and people were, like, taking screen caps of it and trying to figure out which model it was and getting all geeky about it and
That
linking
is
to the
so cute.
articles and yeah. So, if you wanna know about the Citron, that's where you can look for it.
Wow.
Okay, rewatch checklist. Just been moments. So there's the part where Lisbon puts her armor on Jane and pulls him back, and there's also the moment of jealousy when Jane wants to go to the town with Grace instead of him. And we went over the locations. I don't think there's been a Have they been to any small towns? Why do I have locations and there's so many different?
Yeah. Making notes of it in 3 different places here.
What? Okay. So Suit Watch. I might have missed one in the beginning, but so I have 3 noted down again. There's black jacket, dark gray vest, light blue shirt. That's in
Yeah.
the beginning. There's a light gray jacket, dark gray vest, white shirt with thick gray stripes. That's in the middle of the episode, and then at the final scene, he's wearing a matching black suit and vest with a light blue shirt with white stripes. And yeah, that's basically it for our rewatch checklist. So let's go to favorite lines. Karin, what is yours?
Oh, there are quite a few to choose from, but I put down I just robbed a Russian mobster. You can't call Lisbon. I also enjoyed when Lisbon was being very definitive about why they couldn't go to Arlov, and she said, nope, niet, no, and Manelli says no too. That's 4 no's.
Emma, what is your favorite? I think you mentioned it already, but I don't remember what she
It
said
was the same line, but I did also like Jane's line when he's requesting water in Arlo's lair, asking for sparkling water, room temperature, no ice, and in a tall glass, please. it was it was brilliant. It's like it reminded me of a Bond movie, basically. So shaken, not stirred. That whole scene was reminiscent of an older Bond movie with Sean Connery, where you've got the villain in his lair and smooth and suave James Bond coming laying out his plan and traps, and Jane was very calm, cool, and collected. And it was the echoes of James Bond there. The whole scene, fantastic. It's amazing the dynamics between the two, and Jane just playing with fire.
Yeah, yeah. So my favorite is actually the one where he's like, "I hate to be blunt, but you're just," and I like when this was like, "Oh no, you don't,"
Yes.
and then so it's kind of like I like the scene more than a specific line, but I like how Jane's like, "We'll talk later." It's like she's not letting me tell you off, but I'm gonna get my words in later.
For the Cho Zinger of the Week, Cho did not have a lot to do in this episode, or didn't have a lot to say at least. So I picked the quote where he says, everybody at the company that didn't wear a suit knew all about Frank Schiappa and his use of AP's office.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back with our Memory Palace quiz, and Emma and Karin can take it. Actually, we can do like a new thing where you guys compete for who comes up with the answer
Oh,
first.
write down our answers.
You know, like how on radio shows where like you have to say your name if you know the answer. All right, we're back and we have a new Memory Palace quiz for you this week. Normally, I just ask Karin the questions. I have 5 questions of increasing difficulty plus a bonus question about the episode we just discussed. But since we have Emma here with us, call out your name if you know the answer, and then we'll let you
Okay.
go first. And if you get it wrong, then it goes to the next person. So,
Okay.
and we'll keep score this time.
Okay.
How
All right.
competitive are you, Emma?
Not very.
So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
so when you want to buzz in, you say your name.
Okay.
Question 1. What does RW in RW Art stand for?
Emma. Rob Wallace.
Yeah, very good.
Yay.
1-0.
Harsh.
I gotta
There's still
motivate
time. There's still time.
you. Okay. Question 2. Who is the woman in the painting?
Emma. It's Carlotta Moreau, who's a 16th century
Oh,
silk merchant's wife in the painting.
very
Oh,
good.
Or 14 something
nailed
rather,
it.
so it'd be 15th century.
Oh,
But yeah, she
she's
actually
smoking you.
turns up in Assassin's Creed I've looked it up.
What? Really?
It's not an actual
Oh,
painting,
wow.
as they said. But if you look up Carlotta Moreau, apart from some academic that comes up, modern academic, it comes up as from a character from the Assassin's Creed game of 2009.
Oh, that's
And she
so
was a
funny.
Venetian noblewoman,
Oh,
and
wow.
the widow. She was married to Cristoforo Moreau, and it's all part of some game apparently called the Assassin's Creed, which I've never heard of.
Wow.
My
Oh my
friend at work
god.
told me. So yeah, I looked it all up, and she looks so similar. It's not exact, but she's in a green dress. She's got kind of brownish reddish hair, and there's some kind of classical work around it. It's not a very good
Oh,
picture because it's an old game, but I think they've taken it
that's
from
a good
there.
hot reading thing.
Oh, brilliant! I wasn't sure, but I
Yeah.
thought I'd throw that one in.
Yeah. Okay, question 3. What type of machine gun does Jane think is in AP's painting?
Emma, Kalashnikov.
Oh, we're 3-0, Karen.
So I know my weapons. I love
I
it when the
think
clan
Emma
comes
took
together.
better notes than I did.
To be fair, a lot of notes.
I could see you referring to them. Yeah.
I was, but to this one,
Nice.
I wasn't actually
She
looking at them
she
for this
came
quiz.
prepared.
I tried.
Perfect.
Okay, question 4. What show is Arlov watching when Jane arrives?
Emma, it's car crashes. Oh, I do know this one. I wrote it down here somewhere.
I think we're gonna have to let
Yeah,
Karen take a
no
guess
worries.
at it.
Yeah, Karin, go for it.
Oh, goodness. It was something like massive collisions.
No, you both got it wrong. It's
No.
World's Best
World's
Collisions.
best collisions.
I got
Collisions, yeah.
collisions right. Get half a point.
You should.
A third of a point.
No, it's still 3-0.
Oh well.
All right. Question 5. What is the name of the diner Frank recommends to Jane?
Karen, it is Garrity's.
Oh, you got one. Good
Cool.
job.
Excellent.
All right. Bonus question. At RW Arts, what does the family wheel away when they leave?
Emma, a pumpkin in a red truck.
Uh,
A red
Very
trolley.
good. Very good.
Big,
Giant
orange
pumpkin.
thing.
It was a big pumpkin.
It was big. It's hilarious.
So I guess it must give us some hint as to what time of the year it is. It must be like fall and everything. So.
Yeah, she's in 4-H. The
Oh,
girl.
really?
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Oh.
So it's
good.
her
Well spotted.
prize-winning pumpkin.
Oh, well done. Oh, it had a big first prize on it, didn't it? For a little
Yeah,
thing on it.
he must
Well
get
spotted.
so much business in this small town.
That went right over my head. I gotta go back and look at that. I didn't know. All right. So, any last thoughts on the episode? It was a fun one. It was a good standalone. I mean, there's only like a brief mention of Jean's family, so it's not like it. I feel like it sticks out on its own. It's not part of the arc, the main arc of the show. And it was amusing. I like the yogurts and Rigsby.
Yeah, there's a lot of great little details in this one. I especially, like the Rob Wallace scene with Jane and Van Pelt. Just a little more of the team interactions with that. And Lisbon's kind of sidelined in a lot of this one. She's just
Yeah.
holding down the fort at the CBI.
Yeah, I did enjoy all the
Yeah.
team interactions and the show Rigsby and Jane interactions with the car and with going to set up Arlov and the whole fun. It just seemed so joyous for them going to somewhere like that, but they were really enjoying themselves. And even though they're going somewhere dangerous, Jane was ever the showman, super confident and calm, kept it together and got what he wanted. It was amazing, but just really cool scene, beautifully laid out and well put together scene.
Okay, so let's go back to the painting because let's talk through whether we thought the one that he hangs on the wall in CBI is real, because the one that he hangs on the wall
goodness.
is presumably the one that they found at Catherine's home, because he tells her at some point in the end, we're searching your apartment as we speak and we're going to find it, right?
Which was a bluff.
It
Yeah,
was.
yeah. But I mean, that's presumably the one that they find. But so, of the 4 paintings, Arlov has one, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They find one at Catherine's. Jane burns one.
Yes.
And so, where's the other one?
The other one would have been the one from his vault. They
The
had
one
one
they-
from his vault.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he had the one in his vault. Jane took the artist's copy to Arlov.
Yes.
Okay.
So Arlov got the artist's copy. He got
he has the artist-
Arlov's one, which then got burnt later on. So it had to be a copy.
Yeah. Okay. And so it has to be that the real one is the one that they get at Catherine's, because that's what he thought, right? So I guess that's
Mhm.
why it was confusing for me, why he hung it up thinking it was a fake. Was it because they had 2 in their custody?
Possibly,
The real
yes. He
one
could
and
have.
a fake?
Yeah, the real one might have got back to Cade, and they got the other fake, maybe.
Because the CBI would have 2 copies in hand. They would have the real one and they would have
Yes.
the fake one that Jane stole from Arlo. And no, he burned that one. Wait. Okay, so he would have the one.
As Jane said, it's hard
Okay.
to keep track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
I guess what's important is whether they took the one from the vault, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And they must have, because if it's fake, like, they would have
That's
needed
on.
as evidence, right?
Right.
Yeah. So where does Jane get this last final painting from? Is he just claiming it from evidence for
And why would he
funsies?
just hang it on his wall, right? Right behind
For
his desk.
fun.
It's not like they keep it on his wall. This
And
is
like, and it sounds like Troy and Rigsby just assume that it's fake.
Mhm. I think it is fake.
I think it's fake, and he's just messing with them, right?
I think
so
went and he
too.
got
His smile on his face at the end. He's messing with them. He lives for that.
yeah. So
brilliant.
it must be fake. Yeah.
It's a brilliant episode.
All right. If you're enjoying Rom-Com Detectives, please consider taking a minute to leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're on Spotify, Reddit, or YouTube, please leave us a comment and answer our question of the week by telling us what you think about the painting. Was it fake or was it real? We've decided that we think it was fake, but tell us what you think. If you'd like to join additional conversations about The Mentalist, you can visit the Mentalist subreddit at reddit.com/r/The Mentalist. And you can join the Mentalist Bullpen Discord server linked in the sidebar. To contact me and Karin, email us at host@romcomdetectives.com. Follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, or Threads at Rom-Com Detectives. For our next episode, we'll be breaking down Crimson Casanova. So if you'd like to ask us a question or tell us your own thoughts about that one, you can leave us a voicemail or text message at 1-650-733-XOXO or 9696. This episode of Rom-Com Detectives was recorded on August 13, 2025. Rom-Com Detectives Mentalist Unit is co-hosted by Krista Watanabe and Karin Lubbers and is produced by Pico's House. And we want to give a special thanks to Emma for joining us as our rom-com consultant. It was nice having you.
Thank you, Crystal and Karen. Fantastic. Been a pleasure.
Okay, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.